Well, hey folks, this is Fat Guy Flies RC coming to you from the man cave, and this is the 80mm Dassault Rafale. Let's take it out of the field and get you some flights. Meet you out there. Hey folks, Fat Guy Flies RC. All right, we're going to take up the FMS 80mm Dassault Rafale. Have a little bit of fun with her. Got about a 10-mile-an-hour wind from that way, from the southwest. So approach will be from the west, from the east.
Motor is on. Be careful.
All right. Now I've gone in there and I've joined the ailerons together with the elevators, or the ailerons, the elevators and the flaps are one. I bypassed the board. The only thing I'm using the board for is for the gear. And the door sequencers in the gear. Other than that, and I've got a 7-channel Lemon RX stabilized receiver. Just has wind mitigation, doesn't have self-level. Got the RC Geek nozzles in there, and I've got KM model afterburner. All right, timer set for 3.5 minutes.
Timer reset.
Here we go.
Up. Time remaining 3 minutes.
All right. Let's see if we can't do a little bit of high alpha here now. All right. Well, that's fine.
Time remaining 2 minutes.
All right.
Gear is down.
All right, gear is down. Go around the other side of the field. Go by a gear pass, make sure my gear is down. Okay. Landing, right to left. It's all about power. There we go. All right. Got enough in her to take off one more time. All right. Run a 5,000 HRB. Running my high rates also. We'll share all the rates and everything back in the man cave when we do the after battery report. Still got a minute left. Got enough for one more takeoff and landing.
1 minute.
All right. Gonna leave the gear down. Landing right to left.
Seconds.
There we go. Oh, and it also has this. Not that I needed it right there. That was probably the best landing I've ever had with a Rafale. All right, now we still have 25 seconds left on a 3.5 minute timer, but I'm not going to push it for another one. All right.
Safe to approach.
Let's check the battery out real quick. And like I say, we'll go over rates and everything back in the man cave. Stay. All right, unplug that beautiful KM model afterburner. Thank you, KM Models, for the afterburner for review. Okay. 38%, so that couldn't be more perfect. That's absolutely perfect. All right, so 3.5 minutes is a great time. Maybe 3 minutes and 45 seconds if you're careful. But then again, this is a death Dorito, so you got to maintain your speed. That's all you can do. If you don't maintain your speed, you're going to have a very, very expensive lawn dart. So, all right, well, there you go, folks. We'll get another flight here in a little bit. And after both flights, we'll take you back to man cave. We'll go over the rates and the CG and everything about the plane. We'll see you there. God is good. Well, hey, folks. Fat Guy Flies RC. All right, second fly of the day with the 80mm Rafale from FMS. As I put my butt in your face. Oh, caught up on my canard there. I have it set with a full span elevons. All right, high rates. KM model afterburner and the RC Geek performance nozzles installed. This is a great death Dorito right here. All right. Get on my dashboard.
Timer reset.
Reset my timer for 3.5 minutes. And here we go. Oh, is it windy? Well, at least it's kind of down the runway.
Time remaining 3 minutes.
You don't have to go super fast all the time. All right, we're going to take it up. All right.
Gear is down.
Make sure my gear is coming down. And it is.
Time remaining 2 minutes.
All right. Touch and go. More of a slap and go, but touch and go just the same. An aggressive touch and go. How about that? Well, I didn't like it. Powered out of it. If you don't like it, get out of it.
1 minute. Braking. Cruise mode.
All right. We're gonna do one more quick up and down.
30 seconds.
Nope. Don't think I should. I had those power items. I'm gonna yeah, we'll do one more.
20 seconds.
Quick up and down. I'll leave the gear down though.
10.
But I don't have any choice, but I have to land. I'll be out of
Timer
juice.
expired.
Time's expired. All right. Great landing though. Great landing.
Focus.
All right.
Safe to approach.
11 seconds over
Timer reset.
on a 3.5 minute timer. So 3 minutes and 41 seconds. At least that's how that math works. I remember when I first got this plane, boy, it just scared the daylights out of me. Not bad, 35%, so we were in no danger whatsoever. Some things about this plane is why it is so popular and such a good flying. Number one, she just naturally wants to high alpha. That's just sort of I didn't really do much high alpha this time. I did in the last flight. She just naturally wants to do that. I highly suggest if you get the plane, I'll have a link to Hobby Zone for it. You can take $10 off the price. I mean, 10 bucks, not that much, but you can take 10 bucks off the price if they have it in stock, or you can buy it directly from FMS. Either way, you'll be helping me out. But if you buy it from Hobby Zone, you can take 10 bucks off. Couple of things about this plane that you don't really see advertised is these inlets here. That is all hard plastic, and it's very much a wear point on an EDF. That is, I mean, that's the whole inch there is nothing but hard plastic. This is hard plastic here where these lights are. These missiles are, the outer missile styrofoam, but the inner part is plastic. This is, no, that's styrofoam up there. Hard, but there's plastic here. Plastic on the end of them fins. Little bits and bobs here and there that are plastic. She does fly okay with the ordnance, just understand. She's gonna be a little draggy, but that really looks cool with all the ordnance on it. But hard plastic on these servo covers here, which I don't know why they didn't go ahead and do it on the flaps. They should have. But let me tell you something. If you get the plane, I highly suggest bypassing the board. Just leave the board in for the sequence of the doors, the gear doors and the gear operation. Other than that, run everything directly to your receiver like I did, and set you up full span elevators and ailerons, the full span. And don't use, it comes with a crow configuration. Don't try to land with it. You'll have a big pile of foam at the end of the runway. So anyways, there you go, folks. That is the 80mm Dassault Rafale. One beautiful flying plane, one beautiful plane, period. And I want to thank you all for watching. God is good. And don't forget, faith, family, and friends, we'll see you back at the man cave, and we'll go over all the rates and everything. See you there. Bye-bye. Well, hey, folks. Well, we had some fun flying, and you know, I watching both the videos, and I got back and I said, you know what? I said right off the bat that so I'm going to try to do some high alphas with it. And even in the second video, I said, well, didn't do as many high alphas as I did in the first one. I'm like, well, you didn't do any high alphas in the first one either. Anyways, so she does do high alpha pretty good. And some of my landings were a little more high alpha, but yeah, I kept talking about doing high alphas and I never did any. But anyway, she does naturally want to do high alphas, but we had fun anyways. Let's go over real quick. Well, since I got the plane up here, let's go over CG. To give you a placement for the CG on the top of the plane, see this decal here, the white here? If you follow this inside strap or line where it comes in and crisscrosses over this hard plastic right behind the bolt there, right between there are the two CG marks. It's 110 to 130 back from the leading edge root where the root of the wing actually touches the fuse. So, and now I realize I haven't flown this plane so long, and I started thinking, well, you know what? It seems like the way I got my battery in there, not much of it, not really all that forward of a CG, or I don't really have it supported for being tail heavy or being more of a high alpha type. But on the 110, she seems to be okay. If I go back to the 130, she definitely wants to be a little nose heavy. So 110 is really good where I have the battery, but let me show you where I have the battery. Now, if I wanted a more, to be able to do a little better, more aggressive high alpha and actually do it, I would move the battery even further back. But where the factory strap is, I've got the 5000 right in the middle of it. So there's a little bit of more room. But I remembered I haven't flown this plane forever. The reason I don't have it is because I took all them wires and everything and I routed them together, and I've got my 7-channel Lemon RX up here. Now, what I could do is take this, shove it up in there, because there is more room up in there. That way I get this battery a little further back, maybe an inch or so, and then run a satellite up to here if signal was my issue. I'm thinking this is why I did this, is I was worried about, I wanted to get to the receiver easily, or get to it more easier. Well, anyways, to get to it more accessible. Anyways, that's where it's at, and I think
Cruise mode.
Well, one of my buttons here, I forget which one it is. Turns.
Braking.
That's it.
Cruise
That's
mode.
what it is. To have those ailerons and the flaps wide, they're wide together. They have their own channels, so they take up 2 channels, and that eats up the 6 channels, and that's one of the reasons why I went with this, so I didn't have to have an 8-channel receiver from Spectrum, and I went with, because Lemon RX makes these great 7-channel receivers, and the 7th channel is where I have the reverse thrust plugged in to the plane on my 7th channel, and then that also controls the gyro, so that whenever I depress braking, it turns the gyro off, but I'm landing anyways. So, or I should already be on the ground anyways. All right, let's talk about the rates. Since obviously, since I've got a Lemon RX, I don't have the AS3X Plus. So let me show you, so it makes it actually a little bit quicker. Show you what my rates are. Talked about CG. 3.5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes and 45 seconds, maybe all you're really going to get out of it on a 5,000. On a 4,000, I would just go 3 minutes, because she's pretty well eats up some juice. She's not super heavy, but she's relatively heavy. Let's talk about our rates now. I flew in my high rates the entire time with the ailerons. That is 80% with 30% expo. Elevator, 100% with 30% expo. And the rudder is 100% but with 50% expo. Now, the canards work like the true canards. They only work with elevator function. So when the back elevators come up to go up elevator, okay, to push that tail down, these canards, the front edges tip up to scoop the nose up, kind of like a bowl effect. And then just the opposite when you're going down, when you're going to go down elevator. The elevators go down, bringing this tail up, and the canards, the forward edge scoop down to push the nose down. So the opposite bowl effect. So that's how that looks. Now, what I do wish is that FMS gave you the ability to get more throw on the canards. I would like to see a little more throw on them. But that's pretty much the extent of it. They're sealed up. You really can't go in there unless you... There's things you can do, but you have to go in there. They're controlled by one servo, works both of them, just so you know. The other thing about the plane is do yourself a favor, even though you've already spent $460, almost $500 on the plane, go ahead and spend another like 22 bucks and get the RC Geek Performance nozzle. That's these inner rings right here. They just drop right in. You put some CA glue on all the way around the edge. They just drop straight in and glue them in. And they do add a little more oomph, a little more speed, a little more power whenever you're going to take off, and your higher end speed is a little bit greater. It's enough to where it's really especially notice on takeoff. When you take off with this plane, and you're basically at full throttle, and when you finally lift off, and she lifts off quickly, and then you'll notice these things, well, she's laboring, but you put them performance nozzles in, and she gets up off deck a whole lot quicker, and it's a noticeable difference. They are definitely worth, they're definitely worth the 20 bucks. All right, we talked about CG, we talked about rates, we talked about the necessity for those those nozzles. Of course, I've got the beautiful
Motor is on.
KM model afterburner, which is gorgeous. And I've given her a clear coat. So I've only done 3 mods. I gave her a clear coat, performance nozzles, and the afterburner. But the door, and oh yeah, the other thing I did mod also, I bypassed the board that's inside there to where I have full span elevons. Okay. And the only thing I'm using the board for is strictly for the gear function and also for the sequence of the doors. Okay. Now, to show you these doors, and they do take some time.
The gear is up.
Okay. Gear is down. All right. Now it takes them doors got to go down. All right. And it's very clean. Now, I don't fly with the Ordnance anymore. I did the first couple of flights with the Ordnance on when I first got it. And she flies okay. But it's almost like she doesn't have enough strength or enough power to get out of her way anyways. And then when I add the nozzles, it was a lot much better. A lot much better. That's my English. My English. She performed better. And that's just one more thing I have to lug around, and I'd rather fly her with more performance, so I leave them off anyways, and I don't want to keep taking them on and off, so I just leave them off. So, anyways, but very clean. I mean, look at how nice and clean that belly is once them doors are there's a lot of resistance have been removed. Okay. Alrighty. Oh, and the crow function that gives you by default, which would be how those would look if they were split, and you decide you want to get adventurous and try to use that, you can. It didn't go well for me, and I lost all my gear. The belly, I was just able to get the nose up, and I ripped all the gear right out of it. So I don't recommend it. I don't recommend using that crow. I mean, now, and the thing about reverse thrust is you won't find anywhere in the manual that tells you anything about reverse thrust. Most of the FMS planes that have reverse thrust, purchased from a few years ago, that have reverse thrust will not say anything about it in the manual. You'll see nothing. You'll just see this little yellow wire off the ESC. And that's usually a telltale sign that you have the ability to reverse thrust. It won't say anything about it. And yours may have it. It may not. I've actually purchased 3 of these. Well, 2 of these. The first one I got, just like this, Hobby Zone sent to me for a review. That's the one I ripped the gear out of. Okay. Second one, I don't know what happened to it. I had parts. I guess obviously I crashed it, but I don't remember how I crashed it. And then I went to, let me tell you, Graves RC in Orlando, Florida. Oh, that is by far RC model Nirvana. That's not a very good place. If you're serious about RC planes, don't go in there. Just don't do it. If you do, go ahead and be ready to sign those divorce papers and take that second mortgage out on the house, because when you go in there, you're going to spend so much money. It is a nasty, nasty place for RC plane guys, because everything you'd ever want in an RC plane, they've got. They boast like 10,000 models in stock, some incredible number. And if you go in there between what's on the shelves and what's hanging from the ceiling, yeah, I believe it. It's Graves RC in Orlando, Florida. I'll put a link, but it's just a nasty place to go. It's one of them nasty things that, once you go there, you're like, oh, yeah. Oh, back to the plane. She's got suspension, but I bought this one here, there, and then I kept the crashed revals for parts for this one. And I cannot remember what happened to that second one, but anyways. First one I got for free, the second 2 I paid for. So this has been a very expensive model for me. But anyways, I just love it. I absolutely love flying this thing. When I first got it, it would just intimidate the dog mess out of me, and scared of it. That's probably why. If I was to try that Crow thing now, I might have no problem with it. But I'll put a link for the RC Geek nozzles, which definitely you need. And I'll put a link to Graves RC, which don't go there unless you want to spend a lot of money. And there you go. All right. Well, this is a great flying plane. My triple Rafale. Thank you for watching, folks. God is good. And this is the Dassault Rafale. One beautiful, beautiful RC jet. Bye, y'all.